There was never a dull moment here. You know, every single map of every single circle was designed so well. And this is probably because each modder was responsible for their own world. So none of them were overwhelmed, and they were all able to spend all their time, you know, putting their effort into one concentrated and detailed piece of content. And it really showed. Not to mention, these are some of the more bizarre and creative modders of Skyrim. So there are definitely, you know, some really interesting things in here. You know, it's kind of like, what are you smoking? You know, because I want some of that.
And we weren't just aware that these modders existed. Oh no, we understood who they were as artists. MxR would frequently mention when the author was previously featured. They all had reputations on his channel, and they were acknowledged every time. And MxR took great pride in trying to understand their work as artists.
This is meant to be a very slow and immersive questing experience. This mod is meant to be played without fast travel. So if you fast travel, you probably will miss certain scripted events with Rigmore. And it's really about developing this relationship together. It's like you guys have gone through so much shit together.
Nowadays, modding communities still exist, sure, but not like Skyrim. Nowadays, people download mods, they just want their fucking fan fiction validated, instead of it being an openness to experience something completely different and original and creative.
The combination of pieces look unusual at first, you know, very unorthodox, but I think that's what makes this armor unique. Though this is one of the greatest armors of late that is not by Deserter X, you know, highly underrated considering the immense detail.
And I want to emphasize again that this is just one of many paradigms that on the internet that YouTube willingly destroyed. And they destroyed it on the grounds that we looked at boobies and said swear words. This just keeps stacking up. And yes, I'm going to repeat it every time because it bears repeating. We cannot let ourselves forget that YouTube willingly destroyed a digital utopia on the grounds that we looked at boobies and said swear words.
This is 4K, very high quality. It's good to see a used up weapon compared to some of the more pristine weapons that we usually see on this show. Though if you roleplay as a Vigilant of Stendar, then you might want to get this sword. I mean, this sword is more used up than your mother.
It's time to escape, but I don't know where the fuck I'm headed. Up or down, right or left, life or death.
I don't think anyone was surprised when MxR's channel got deleted after years of breaking rules on YouTube. That much should never be contested. But what should be contested are the ethics of those rules existing in the first place. The rules he was breaking, when he was breaking them, and how he was breaking them was impossible to figure out on purpose.
If you take the related videos for videos that are demonetized and then arrange them by the total amount of views, with the lowest to the left and the highest to the right, and then count the cumulative percentage of demonetized videos, you get the following pattern. First off, there should not be any pattern at all for the demonetized videos. It should simply be at random, unless YouTube is actively censoring demonetized videos.
This was never about integrating old users into new guidelines, because this is a culture war.
Have I ever told you guys are just the chillest subscribers ever? You know, you guys don't complain about mods or modders. You're just like, big titty statue mods, that's fucking awesome. I'm just like, hell yeah. You know, we all really enjoy the silly mods, but we can still appreciate the more serious and more impressive mods out there.
They don't want these types of creators on the platform anymore, plain and simple. They make it look like there's gray area, but they don't help you.
Wanted to know if his channel was considered kid-friendly, and if not, what he could do to change that. The reply he got states, "I checked your channel, and I'm happy to say your channel is DV-teen. Please keep this confidential." That email contains a remarkable piece of information, and after Queb shared it, he says he's been iced out. He stopped getting invited to those creator space meetings. That just never happened again. In his own words to me, he feels he's been blacklisted. As you see in the email, he was asked not to share this information. Why? Who knows? This is the kind of specific information that can help a channel understand what's happening to them. So he shared it. I say good for him for doing that, and thank you. Whenever YouTubers get a press release or an official posting by the CEO on the blog, the wording is always so intentionally vague that we can't understand what the words literally mean without sort of busting apart the language and trying to apply it to other unconfirmed assumptions about how the website works. It's as if they're taking their internal policies and memos and feeding them into a confuser machine. Even for a community of people who are relatively gifted with language, it's maddening to try and reassemble the meaning out of these releases. Thankfully though, on the AdWords side of YouTube, where advertisers are actually pumping their money into the platform, the structure of YouTube reveals itself. Things are a little more cut and dry. If you're running an ad campaign and you want to limit your ad to play on videos that are rated G or T or M, you can simply click a tab that, well, abracadabra. If you still had any doubt, there's your video ratings. This tool would not work, and it would not be structured this way if videos were not being rated internally.
They make it look like there's gray area, but then they don't help you. And don't be fooled, YouTube never intended to help you because you look at boobies and say curse words.
So I'm really glad to have so many people share a similar sense of modding and humor and all of the great stuff that this channel has. So thank you guys so much for the amazing journey to 800k and hopefully to many more 100ks in the future.
Has it been like a month since MxR Plays got deleted?
Yes, yeah.
Feels like it. Feels like it's been a long time.
I don't know why, but the instant you say it though, like my heart still sinks.
And then it got even worse because they went and deleted all of our other channels. MxR Mods, I don't know how many of you guys watching right now are still OG fans of my first channel. Lots of memories on there, lots of good times. Those are like the videos that I actually like really poured my heart and soul into.
Their design philosophies are integral to the modding community, but I'll try to keep it brief. It should be understood that Bethesda games aren't focused on linear storytelling like most developers are. Instead, they want to give players an outlet to choose their own adventure, which is why they released the original construction set in the first place. With the influx of new players, then Skyrim could have eroded that long history of modders, but because of Henry, we were all made abundantly aware of that history instead.
And I can't believe it, but I think this is the same Somerset Isles mod that I reviewed in episode 40 when it first came out in alpha.
The name's Vincent. Vincent. Second verse, same as the first.
Kind of like that singer named Philip Phillips.
Not just a little. Extremely redundant, which makes it unique.
A Fallout 4 demo character by Chris Takahashi, the creator of interesting NPCs. So this could be one of the first ever WIP mods that has finally been finished. And that is something that is unbelievably rare. Anyways, the point of this is that Eleonora obviously tried really hard, and she obviously put as many things as she possibly could in every little tiny space available. There are probably more things in here per square feet than any other place in all of Skyrim. Once I saw the name Chris Takahashi, I instantly knew Vincent was gonna be one hell of an interesting NPC. So you know, when my boy John Skyrim releases another World of Warcraft artifact in Skyrim, I cannot resist. I say fuck it to every weapon mod. I'm downloading this shit. Look forward to our future endeavors in finding more ways to place more items in small spaces. This is the Lionheart. Now, I don't know if this is an actual shield in World of Warcraft. I'm assuming it's based off of the Stormwind mascot, which has done a killer job at turning it into a shield in the style of World of Warcraft in Skyrim.
You really don't need a dev kit or even baked mesh to have the different and provocative mods.
That's why he's the god!
Unfortunately, the majority of modders choose not to take those risks, instead opting to spend their time and effort making things that already exist. They take their natural and healthy assumptions about personal taste and a genuine, concrete understanding to a place of spite in an attempt to put the current developers in their place. They will never be happy because their main goal is to replace something that is by their own definition irreplaceable. They want to rewrite the history books instead of appreciating what they've learned. And then, they're willing to accuse MxR of selling out and abandoning his community to watch TikToks with his girlfriend. I mean, after all the shit he was put through, can you really blame him for wanting to get his money's worth?
This week's armor mod is the Celis Nightingale armor by Deserter X. Let me just start out by saying, number one, this armor is fantastic, and number two, I went really hard in this showcase, alright? I'm not talking about my penis, but I honestly went harder than LeBron in the paint here. The lighting, the shadows, the close-up FOV. What's good, YouTube? You know who it is, LaMarcus Aldridge, and you're watching SkyRimMods Weekly 121. It should actually be week 122, but I did miss an episode last week, and I'm terribly sorry for that, guys. Fun fact, I've not missed an episode for 77 weeks. I mean, not to toot my own horn here, but if that's not dedication, man, then I don't know what is. I just wasn't feeling very happy last week, and the mods just weren't enticing enough to bring me to put out an episode that week. So in this episode, we're gonna have mods from the past 2 weeks, so it should be good, and I hope you guys enjoy. What's up, everybody? Welcome to SkyRimMods Weekly. First off, want to thank all of you guys so much for the kind comments you guys all left me on the actual Cannibal Shia LaBeouf video. And surprise, surprise, I'm pretty good at Skyrim Machinima. I mean, I've been playing the same goddamn fucking game for like 3 years now. I mean, I should know everything about Skyrim and like how the engine works, so... And even despite my experience of using Skyrim's engines to create Machinima, that video still took me like 10 hours to make. I spent all Sunday on it right after making SkyRimMods Weekly. Hi everybody, welcome to week 200. Oh shit, it's not. Hi everybody, welcome to episode 205 of SkyRimMods. Hold on a second, let me think about this. Bi-weekly. Bi-weekly. I'm aiming for one episode every 2 weeks. Hi everybody, welcome to Skyrim on the Fortnite. My god, I feel so classy when I say that. I didn't even know what Fortnite meant until a year ago. I thought it meant the next night or something, but it means 2 weeks, guys. I like it, man. It's pretty catchy, you know. Welcome to SkyRimMods Fortnightly, where we'll have tea and biscuits. Sorry, was that racist? Yeah, that's pretty racist. Seems like almost a waste that in normal gameplay, you will never actually get to see the details, because the only way you can is by switching to field of view 30 and using the flying camera like I am here. So I have some news. Mod videos are gonna be coming out on my channel about once every 2 weeks now. For those of you that haven't been caught up, the whole YouTube monetization policy with non-family friendly content, such as myself not making any money anymore, I can't justify spending 25 hours every single week making a mod video when I can be putting my efforts to, you know, my second channel that actually gets paid. I'm not giving up on this channel though, because of all the patrons who have pledged to me on Patreon. I'm still continuing on with the mod series. It's because of you guys that the show continues to live on, despite all that's going on. I will try and make other non-mod related videos from time to time to make sure you guys don't think I'm dead. But yeah, I'm really sorry, and I hope you guys can understand where I'm coming from. So
Henry said over and over again that SkyRimMods Weekly will always be his favorite, that it was his baby, that it was his passion project, and it pained him deeply to remove all his videos. It should pain you deeply too. We need to be upset by this, because Henry MxR is an important person. And if we let ourselves forget that, and we let YouTube divide us simply because we looked at boobies and said swear words, then they will have won in destroying every single thing we used to love. And not only did MxR add an appreciation for independent artists to the world, he was genuinely funny. You could tell that the jokes and comedy in his videos reflected his actual sense of humor, showing that there was another person behind the screen.
Radiant or dynamically generated quests are a great way to explore the world of Skyrim and get your lazy ass to go to new places. But, and these are some pretty huge buts, I like the idea of this mod, but, and there are lots of buts. Now you might be disappointed to find out that he looks exactly like an ordinary black horse. In fact, he's actually a vanilla black horse. But, and he's got a very nice butt. First, you have to unlock the quest. By what? Doing quest? What do I look like? An adventurer? Get the fuck out of here. And people are actually complaining. That looks too pretty to be a Dunmerry sword. Get the fuck out of here. Mage lights? Please, don't even get me started. Wasting your time and mana to cast a spell for a light that's gonna wash out all your colors and then go out in 120 seconds? Get the fuck out of here. The mod also adds wandering mercenaries. What's this? Sons of a bitches took my quest. Well, I took their life. What's that? What? I was supposed to talk to them? And then they would share me the Oh, he's customizable. You can pretty much customize everything about him. From the color of his fur coats to the color of his vagina. Wait a minute. Never mind. That's actually another mod. It's for immersion purposes, guys. Jesus.
This unfiltered quality imbued MxR and really all early YouTubers with a sense of authenticity. You felt welcomed because they aren't talking down to you, and you see that he's a person just like you and me. And this was a valuable piece of community that we can no longer enjoy, simply because we looked at boobies and said swear words. I want you to ask yourself if that's worth deleting an aspect of the human spirit from public viewing. The bottom line is, it's censorship. And intelligent and well-meaning people are tricked into censorship out of a sense of vanity. They're embarrassed by what they think is a mistake, and they just want to grow as people. They think they're better than everyone else just because they have what's basically only an aesthetic preference. Look, vulgarity isn't any more socially problematic than melodrama and camp are. It's not morality, it's fashion. And this fashion of being politically correct is new and temporary, and in another 30 years it'll change again.
Hey, Vsauce! Michael here. Who decides which one's good and which one's bad? Well, historically, many of the bad words we use today are the result of class differences. In medieval England, the lower-class Saxons spoke a Germanic tongue, while the upper-class Normans spoke a language related to French and Latin. English, as we know it today, contains many consequences of their differences. The lower class worked with animals, and from them we get animal names. The upper class only ate the animals, which is where the names of the meat come from. Today's swear words are similar. Defecation stems from fancy pants Latin, whereas the less classy is Germanic. People feel a genuine sense of community from explicit language. It's safety because it means there's no snotty or high-minded idiots watching and we could just do whatever we want. YouTube only pretends like it's bullying or hate speech in order to hide their true intentions. Everyone who has a pulse is under the threat of being demonetized or copy-striked because the criteria for breaking those rules are fundamentally part of human nature. There's also idiomatic swearing, where nothing is being emphasized, no dysphomism is meant. Instead, it's an easygoing type of swearing that shows an atmosphere is casual. Bad words can be used, we're all close here. It's okay to swear, we're all cool. If nothing can ever be offensive, then nothing can ever be empowering. You can't have one without the other. And the channels that YouTube consistently whitelists are creators that keep people docile and stupid. They need to keep their cattle in line.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for George.
But there's a reason. There's a reason. There's a reason for this. There's a reason education sucks, and it's the same reason that it will never, ever, ever be fixed. It's never going to get any better. Don't look for it. Be happy with what you got. Because the owners of this country don't want that. I'm talking about the real owners now. The real owners, the big wealthy business interests that control things and make all the important decisions. Forget the politicians. The politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. You have no choice. You have owners. They own you. They own everything. They own all the important land. They own and control the corporations. They've long since bought and paid for the Senate, the Congress, the state houses, the city halls. They got the judges in their back pockets. And they own all the big media companies, so they control just about all of the news and information you get to hear. They got you by the balls. They spend billions of dollars every year lobbying to get what they want. Well, we know what they want. They want more for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them. That's against their interest.
They will always want a piece of your pie, guilt or not. Their desires never change.
which means that MxR didn't get copy striked for using the wrong music in his Fallout videos. The only thing that actually changed, and the real rule he broke, is that YouTube realized that he exists.
I saw they took down the Shotgun Mario, release video.
Wait, really?
Yeah, I saw that this morning.
Worst. Did he have a link to the ROM on his description?
No, nothing like that. Just the patch files or whatever. They took down nine of his other videos, I heard as well.
That means Nintendo discovered he exists. Which is
I think that's what that means.
No, that's actually... So, I have a partner manager. We've had lots of talks about this. Because, there's been a lot of instances where I could go through the same banhammer. Because a bunch of Point Crow's Breath of the Wild mods got kicked as well. Because Nintendo discovered that he was, a channel.
Maybe they're gonna get me.
You have to be, hidden.
Yeah, thank God I'm hidden.
Yeah, I don't think Nintendo knows either of us exist.
Google, Nintendo, Disney, on a universal scale, their real enemy is independent artists. They don't want the layman to know that all of the things that they spend millions of dollars on can be done by a single person from the comfort of their own bedroom.
Kill him. Follow me.
And so now Hollywood's dead. And this is 1987, 87, 88. Writer's strike just kills all the computer graphics work. The big companies went out of business. It was very difficult to get any type of work in Hollywood for anybody because of this writer's strike. And I'm living off credit cards, literally. But I had been learning this software and trying to make my own little student film out of it and staying up all night to get the computer time because the teachers were stealing all the computer time and not the students who were paying the tuitions. And at the time, manuals was really sacred. You could not copy a manual of that software because at the time, that software was $80,000. And if you had a computer to run it, that was another $80,000. So just to sit behind that terminal and do your work was $160,000. And who had that, right? So on Christmas Eve was the one day I knew that I could sneak into that lab and Xerox copy all those manuals and take them home illegally. But that's how I knew if I did that, I was anticipating the job I had applied for and was expected to be hired for, but I didn't yet have the skills and I lied my way in, right? But I had a little bit of crazy stuff that I was showing that was done in Wavefront software. And no one knew these tools at that time. I mean, we're talking, it's 1989 by now. It was only the people working at 2 or 3 companies that knew computer graphics. And then the rest might have had some hobbyist type of tool that was running on their Mac or something, but it wasn't really legit. It wasn't the deep stuff that movies were being made out of.
Anyone can draw, anyone can 3D model, and anyone can animate. You do have to learn, which is why from the 60s to the 90s, most tech was gatekept. But nowadays, we have open source software by developers who care about lowering the entry level. If you actually know anything about art, you know that it's only 30% skill, and the rest of that effort that goes into your art is purely confidence. Feeling comfortable with how things turn out. If you've been following MxR this entire time, you already knew that. Because you've had experience with the hundreds of independent 3D modelers that fuel the scene. You just needed to be reminded to feel outraged about them being censored. You need to feel wronged, because if you don't, you're going to live the rest of your life thinking that watching Skyrim mods weekly didn't matter. It was just a silly thing to pass the time. Meanwhile, every week, YouTube does everything it can to make these absolute phenomenons less possible and less discoverable. Do you really want to leave behind a world run by people like that?